On the shore, relentless in the war, the legions in our hearts, shed waters in our balls, the spirit and the flesh, the emotions that arrest, the cerebral will contest, propelling the unrest. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand, stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. With the semblance of a blaze, with gratitude and rage, we touch another page with delirious delight, impervious to light. This vitality and might encourages the flight. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within.
Testing. Excellent stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the early crowd, nicer, young Swift, or wise Swift as he was redubbed over here. Shout out to D and all else in the house. Today we will be doing what could be termed a book review, but it's not really a book review. It's an exposition of the ideas in a book, any book that I like. This is part 6, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone over things like Plato's Republic, The World as Will and Representation. We've gone over Peter Thiel's book, From Zero to One. We've gone over books on strategy, business strategy, and so on and so forth, called Your Next 5 Moves. So as you can see, it's quite varied. And I think I keep it within the non-fiction realm because I like fiction as well, but an exposition of the ideas in a fiction book would just be a spoiler, right? But for nonfiction, it still can be fresh when you go and read it for yourself, because there's going to be details and things like that for you to glean from it. And this is my own interpretation of things. Anyways, yeah, go check out. There is a playlist called Books to Read, and I did Plato's Republic. Obviously, we could do, a whole month on Plato's Republic, right? But it was done in one session, just as a way of, making people familiar with the idea. So go check the playlist, right? As I said, this is part 6 of the What Ike Reads series. So check the playlist for the other parts. Okay? Yes. And in this part, we are talking about the 10X rule. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you guys are familiar with the 10X rule or Grant Cardone. Maybe you're not familiar with the book, but you're familiar with the personality Grant Cardone. Okay? Let me get a 1 in the chat. Or if you don't know, say, oh, I don't know. Or maybe you found out today or something like that. But I would like to gauge, if you will, the level of familiarity with this book and the author. Okay? The author's name is on the title of this. It says The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. He also wrote some other books. He wrote If You're Not First, You're Last. He also wrote Be Obsessed or Be Average. Be obsessed or be average. The 10X rule. If you're not first, you're last. You might already begin to get an idea of the kind of individual this person is, okay? Now, this book resonates highly with me insofar as it is about taking massive amounts of action. Shoot first, ask questions later. Don't constrain yourself to the straitjackets of what people may consider reasonable, right? Go, do. The creative entrepreneur type. Right up my alley. However, the part of it that I had to learn from, okay, the part of it that's a little new for me, right, is the part about having goals to begin with. And by that I mean crystallized, clear goals that you write down and then you pursue. Because you might ask, well, Ike, what are you doing? What is all this action you're taking if there's not a goal written? But for the intuitive types out there, you know what I mean. We don't tend to write our goals down. We don't tend to dwell on the strategy. We just act, right? We're just like this action machine. You ask me, or what, you present an opportunity in front of me, I'm going to say yes, right? Because over time, it has led me to a certain, well, it's just a personality thing, okay? No need to explain it. It's not a strategy. It's a personality thing. We just do stuff. However, when it comes to having actual goals that you crystallize, that you state, and so on and so forth, that part was new to me. However, the entire personality of this character, Grant Cardone, and so on and so forth, is one that I completely resonate with. In other words, being completely unreasonable in terms of your goals and the actions that you take to get your goals. This book is about success, what it takes, how big your target should be, and the amounts of action, the amounts of activity that you should expend, the energy you should expend, the time that it takes, the amount of effort that it takes to get somewhere. And why what you think is reasonable is, to put it in simple terms, it was something that was put in your head. It was something that was, it's obvious, right? Who came up with the middle class? It's just a way of measuring some kind of arbitrary, mediocre middle. Okay? But we'll get all into that. Young Swift says, although I don't agree with the title, Be Obsessed or Be Average. I see where he's getting at. Yes. Yeah. Titles are meant to kind of get you. He's also a marketing he's a big marketing type of guy, right? And if you are like Grant Cardone, and I dare say that I understand that type of personality, then we will not call it obsession, right? I'm not obsessed. I just am, right? But for certain other types, you need to use the word be obsessed. And then you need to then juxtapose it with, hey, if you're not obsessed, you're just going to be average. And there's something about average which we'll get into in a little bit, which is that average is not what you think it is when it comes to human potential. What I mean is this. When it comes to human potential, it's not a question of, oh, there is 0 to 10 and average is in the middle, 5. No. It is more like 0 to 100 and average is like 15. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you understand what I mean. What I'm saying is the difference between human beings is not some sliding linear scale where you can say, hey, I'm just going to go right in the middle. No, the middle is 15, okay, and the high end is 100. In other words, the bad surgeon versus the average, the great surgeon versus the average surgeon, okay? The great physicist versus the average physicist. The average basketball player versus LeBron. In other words, in all human endeavor, it is not a linear difference, okay? The average person is 15. And then above average and then slightly above, it just gets exponential. It's an exponential increase. We all know what this means. We know that it is not some linear sliding scale. Hence, when you start to talk about average, being average, you need to understand that you are sliding way downhill. It's not the middle. It's not the middle. And you should be put off by that. You should be put off by that. Yes, the top 1%, okay, that kind of thing. Anyways, we're going to get right into this. So who is Grant Cardone, right? Who is Grant Cardone? Grant Cardone is a real estate mogul, okay? But he's mainly known as a salesman extraordinaire, right? He sells sales training and so on and so forth. He is a best-selling author as well. Some of these books that I mentioned, I believe 10X Rule is also a bestseller, but the first one he wrote was definitely a bestseller as well. Not a writer. He's not a writer. This is not the best written books, but they're best-selling books, right? He's a salesperson, a marketer. He is the owner, if you will, of Cardone Capital, a real estate venture, similar to a REIT, which is a real estate investment fund where he gets money from other people, right? But, he's got like almost $1 billion worth of real estate, right? And he's also, he's the owner of Cardone Enterprises. They do sales training and events and so on and so forth, the kinds of events that are held in stadiums and Tony Robbins comes out and beats his chest, that kind of stuff, okay? That character, okay, he's listed in Forbes as one of the world's foremost marketers, right? But he's just this short Italian kid from Louisiana. He's from the South. He's got an accent. He doesn't pronounce all words correctly. Just to give you a flavor of the character we're talking about. But he is just full of energy, full of life. He's obsessed. He gets stuff done, right? He's not a manager type, okay? Not a CEO type. He is the entrepreneur type. The guy that just goes and creates the whirlwind of activity and just does. Does not like lawyers, does not like accountants. You get the picture, right? Lawyers are there to protect and stop things from happening, generally speaking. They're filled with fear and what could go wrong. And let's stop this from happening. Let's stop that from happening. Accountants are just historians. They just come in and they document what happened. But these type of people are the people who just go out and get it done. They just get it done. Breaking rules and so on and so forth. You get the picture. So that's Grant Cardone. As I mentioned earlier, he resonates with me because I have a similar personality, right? And this book, and let me share my screen here. Let me share something here so that we can kind of go along and go along with the flow here. Shout out to God-Fearing King just joining us. Shout out to L. Boyd in the house as well. So this book, if we were to boil it down to one sentence, what is the book about? Basically, the admonishment, the advice, the point, what it's telling you to do. What is the ask of the book? It's saying you need to have unreasonable targets. And you need to take unreasonable amounts of action. You need to have unreasonable targets and you need to take unreasonable amount of action. This book is about success. Okay? It's about success, which is basically the attainment and maintaining of stated goals. The maintaining aspect is something that people tend not to understand. What I mean is this, okay? Success vis-a-vis your lawn, okay, will be mowing your lawn. That'll be a goal, right? Other goals could be, maybe getting your lawn greener, blah, blah, blah. But success has to do with a goal. You state the goal, okay, mowing my lawn. Can you just mow your lawn once and then you say, oh, success? No, you got to maintain it. You got to keep mowing, keep mowing, keep mowing. That is the nature of the universe, right? Call it entropy, call it the movement towards disorder, call it getting old, call it inflation, call it deterioration, depreciation, call it whatever you want to call it, but things tend to move backwards. Okay, let me get a one in the chat because this point is trivial but important, right? It's trivial but important, just like many other cliches out there that are hiding in plain sight so that we can go ahead and ignore them. But this aspect of maintaining, okay, whether it's your muscles or your bones or your immune system or so on and so forth, it's not a one and done deal. Success always involves a continual, constant consistency, okay? Success in your diet, success in your health, being in good physical shape, or the mowing of your lawn, or the maintenance of your house. It always involves continuous stuff, okay? You get $1 million in the bank, it immediately starts to go away. Even if you don't touch it, it's going to get eaten away by by inflation, right? There's almost nothing. There's almost nothing whereby this entropy analogy does not apply. So you define success simply, attaining and maintaining of stated goals, okay? What does it take in terms of the goals and the amounts of activity that's required is what this book is about, okay? What should the targets be? And basically the 10x rule is saying it's 10 times than you think is reasonable. 10 times than you think is reasonable. 10 times than you think is reasonable. And what levels of activity are required? Well, 10 times than you think is reasonable. In other words, you graduated college or whatever, you're getting out there into the workforce and you're like, you know what? I would like to get $10,000 a month. Well, Grant Cardone and this book, and I tend to concur as well, would say, hey, is that your target? You say, yes, I want to get $10,000 a month. We would say to you, change that target to $100,000 a month. And that might scare you, but chill. Change that target to $100,000 a month. And then however much activity you think is going to take to get $100,000 a month, it's going to take 10 times more than that. Woo! So it's really 100x when it comes to when you take the activity and the target together, because these two things tend to go hand in hand. Targets give you motivation. Motivation is needed to do the activities. They kind of snowball together, blah, blah, blah. They're kind of hard to separate, right? The target should be 10 times more. And then, okay, $100,000 a month. How much activity does it take to get $100,000 a month? Whatever you think is reasonable, multiply that by 10 as well. Okay? This is crazy. This is crazy according to reasonable. This is crazy according to normal and average. But you need to remember that in all human endeavors, especially the socioeconomic ones, the difference between human beings is not linear at all. The difference between human beings is not linear at all. Average, to be generous, on a scale from 1 to 100 is like 15, okay? And you're trying to go up to 99. Average is not like 50. That's not how it works with human endeavors. There is a huge difference between the average, right, earnings versus the top end earnings, right? It's not a bell curve, is what I'm saying. Human distributions, it's not a bell curve. It's not like height or weight, where it's like, oh, there's a cluster in the middle, or any kind of general distribution, right? Distribution of soil, grain size samples, or all these kind of general distributions, right? In terms of human potential and human achievements, it is not a bell curve. Average is way down compared to the top, okay? The average book sales versus the person selling the most books, let's say Stephen King's sales versus the average book sales, you get the picture? The average income versus who has the most income. The average basketball player versus whom is the top basketball player. In all human endeavors, human beings vary wildly. And that's why it's so crazy to consider that idea of equality when it comes to human beings. It's crazier than any other realm. In the realm of human potential and human activities, human talents, and the cultivation thereof, it is not, you cannot even imagine how widely people vary, okay? It should be clear. Over here, we deal in reality, okay? It is not a bell curve. It is not a, 50, 50 is in the middle. No. That is not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. That is not how it works. Yes, got it. Indeed. We got Women's Red Pill Society in the house. So yes, Young Swift, more or less 100 times more when you're looking at the target plus the activity as well, okay? When you look at it that way, you're like, well, whatever you thought you were going to be doing for this $10,000 a month, you need to 100x it, okay? Why? Why should I do this? Why should I do this? He kept saying, but everyone should be equal. It isn't right. Yes. Look, just give him the numbers. And obviously, they're going to give you some excuse as to, well, Bill Gates just stole the money. Or, well, look, it's always, and give, when you use financial things and stuff like that, people tend to have all kinds of excuses. But when you give certain physical things, like, just consider average basketball playing potential of human beings, right? And then start moving up the scale. By the time you get to NBA level, okay, the average person, again, I'm just using very rough numbers, but just to give the point, just for orders of magnitude. Average basketball person is at 15. By the time you get to the NBA, away from the average, it's like 90, okay? And then when you start moving closer and closer to the top, this curve even gets steeper. The same is true for all human potential, man. In other words, gauging yourself with average when it comes to human potential, talent, and the cultivation thereof is not what you think it is. You're not hitting the middle. You're hitting very, very low if you're going for average. You're going very low. And that's why this thing starts with target. Because you may think, the outcomes, how about no, don't worry about the outcomes, because the first thing you need to understand is you need to change your targets. You need to change your targets. You wanted $10,000 a month, switch it to $100,000 a month. Oh yeah, it should shock you. It should shock you. It should shock you. So let's get right into it, okay? We're gonna put up here, over here in small print, but separated in terms of the separation between the letters so that it can be seen fairly reasonably. You need to take you need unreasonable targets, okay? And you need unreasonable amounts of activity, okay? Generally speaking, in the realm of, human talk, there was this thing about common sense and the reasonable man, what the reasonable person would do. It's talked about a lot in law, and it's usually based on averages, okay? So again, let's get into it. Let's get into the basics. Before we get into why your targets should be large, let's talk about success, which we have defined as the attainment of stated goals. Attaining and maintaining. Okay, you cannot just cut your grass once and say you've succeeded in maintaining a lawn. You can't just go to the gym once and say you've succeeded in having a healthy body. You can't just eat one healthy meal and say you've succeeded. Get the point? You can't just stack $1 million in the bank and say you've succeeded, because it's going to get eaten away by inflation, by depreciation, by entropy, by the grass growing back. Things move backwards in this world, okay? Things move backwards. So just to maintain, you need a certain amount of activity. And then to get ahead, you need to add more and more and more. That's just the way things work, right? We're not babies. We know this. However, when we start thinking in that average land, we take on all the BS excuses that all the nonsense people have put in our heads out there about why we should be comfortable. But that's bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. Without attaining and maintaining goals, problems don't get solved, okay? Success is important, okay? Well, why do you have to do all that much? Why do you have to succeed? Why are you so obsessed with life? It is important, okay? People need to eat. People need progress in terms of transportation. Progress in terms of agriculture. Progress in terms of communication. Progress in terms of healthcare. Without somebody succeeding, in other words, attaining and maintaining a certain goal, without a group, an individual, a society actually succeeding in these stated ends, the problems will not get solved. We have an infinite amount of problems. So thinking that success is not important, it's someone else. Yeah, someone else should do it. Yeah, those human beings out there should do it. Oh, but me, I'm a pig. I'm a pig, and I'm just gonna wallow in dirt. But the human beings over there, they should solve the human problems. But us pigs, we are fine. That's what you're telling yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Do you feel comfortable in that situation? Are you a pig? You're a sloth or some kind of dog? Human problems are out there, but success, success. Why should I be successful? Elon Musk will take care of it, right? The human beings. But us pigs, we're comfortable. So, failure is the enemy, okay? It is a moral thing at this point, insofar as the realm of ethics and the realm of morality has to do with values. In other words, ends that are worth pursuing. Success is an end worth pursuing. Let me say that again. Success, the attaining and maintaining of stated goals, is an end worth pursuing. I don't care if it's governmental, non-governmental, for-profit, non-profit, whatever it may be, you need to be blowing it out of the roof, because if you're not, you are in dereliction of duty, ladies and gentlemen. You're in dereliction of duty. You're a derelict. You're a pig. Okay? It's a question of ethics, as I said. And pardon the spelling of value here. Value worth pursuing. And let me tell you something. And you can see that last point right there, okay? And everybody knows this, okay? Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows that last point that I just wrote down there on the bottom of the page. Is failure easy? Let me get a 1 in the chat if you see where this is going here. People think success is hard. Well, is failure easy? Is it easy to be broke, overweight, with an overgrown lawn? Is that easy? Is it easy to live paycheck to paycheck? Is it easy to know that you have acres and acres of uncultivated talent, uncultivated land? Is that easy? Failure and success are equally hard. in one dimension. In another dimension, success is a lot easier. It is not easy to be a failure. It takes a huge mental toll on you. And you have to come up with all kinds of excuses and tell all kinds of people why, who's oppressing you and so on and so forth. It psychologically beats you down, and it's failure is not easy. Okay. So based on this very simple rubric here, success is important. Why? Because it has to do with the attaining and maintaining of certain goals. Goals that have to do with solving certain problems. Even if you didn't have big problems to solve, entropy, depreciation, inflation, and all that stuff will tear away at the things that, will eat away at your storehouse of grain and your psyche and your muscles and everything, even as an individual and also as a group. So success is actually important. And to think, oh, you know what, those human beings will take care of the human problems, and because me and my pig friends will be pigs over here and will leave success to those other people. Well, that's what you're telling yourself. You are calling yourself less than a human being. And this is not a place where we're going to tell, you're great. It's like, no. You need to take the freaking activity. You need to raise the goals, raise the bar. This is not about some self-esteem bullshit. We're already past that, right? So if you want to be a pig, I'm not going to tell you, oh, no, you should think yourself. No, if you want to be a pig, well, get the hell out of the way, right? Fair enough? Fair enough. Another thing that gets stuck in people's heads in pigland is that success is in short supply. Oh, you know what? Well, someone already did it. I was gonna be Elon Musk, but he already had he has that game sewn up. So I can't. No. Remember, problems to be solved. Yes or no? Yes or no? Are problems in short supply? Yes or no? Is it hard to find problems in your personal life, let's say? Everything from being more organized, eating healthier, getting a better weight in the musculature, so on and so forth. Being more disciplined. Okay, well then move it up. Getting more money. Oh yeah, move it up to the scale of the society. Okay? Is there a shortage of problems in transportation, in communication? Is there a shortage of problems in agriculture? Is there a shortage of problems in energy? No, bro. By definition, therefore, success is not in short supply. What is in short supply is massive amounts of activity because of the little targets that people set, that is. What's in short supply is 10x type targets. That's what's in short supply. Due to fear and, again, pigland type talk. Due to thinking that average is acceptable. No, average is way below. It is not a bell curve or a normal curve for the PhDs out there. It's more of a fat tail type distribution, or, There is not short supply of problems to solve. Therefore, success is not in short supply. That is a big myth. That is a zero-sum game type of mentality. Okay? Warren Buffett being great at investing does not stop you from being great at investing. Google did not stop Mark Zuckerberg from starting Facebook. And in case these things are too high up in the mountaintop, you could just bring it down below and just look at your life. Do you have a shortage of problems? No. you could just look around, you could just look at yourself and then look around the room you're in right now and be like, oh, I could be succeeding in at least 10 more things right now. I could be attaining and maintaining these goals out here, right? So, set 10x goals and take 10x actions. So that's the introduction, the background, the idea here, the landscape, the mindset. Okay, this is not about motivating pigs to come out of their, you know, no. You want to be a pig and you want to wallow in dirt, stay over there, right? These are people who already know, oh my God, I don't want to be a pig, right? Then you need to open your eyes, get out of the freaking matrix, and stop thinking that average is something you should be attaining or, you know, should be shooting for. Because look, whose targets are you chasing? Whose targets are you chasing? There are lots of arbitrary targets out there, such as, let's say, the middle class, right? Who defines what reasonable is for you? People tell you, oh, there's a reasonable amount of time to work, reasonable amount, you know, you need a life. Who are these people? You ever ask yourself that? Who are these people? And how dare they tell me anything? There are people repeating what other people said based on averages of the population. And what does that mean? All these targets are arbitrary, they're average, they're herd mentality type stuff. You want to be cattle in a herd just grazing with the rest of the other cattle? Is that what you were born to live this one life to do? Shout out to, I believe that must be Snuggles. The $5 super chat, the $5 super chatter. He says, this is money towards your rich man's fund. Keep up the good work. Yes. I want all the money. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And D says, the average at best people are going to come for me. Average at best. Camelback curve will be a more accurate curve as opposed to the bell curve. Insofar as that's a fat tail curve, right? I assume because the neck goes like that. Because I'm imagining the shape of the... I'm not a statistician, but point being, you can have, in terms of human activity, human, especially socioeconomic markers and so on and so forth, which tends to be the markers of human potential, actualized, and so on and so forth. You could have the mean, right? And then there's only one person out to the right side of the mean. You know what I mean? It's like everybody is below the mean, and then there's one person over here making $10 billion. In other words, if I had a room, because a bell curve will be, let's say, height or weight. If I had a room full of 50 people, and I said, hey, the average height of this room is 6 feet, you would think, okay. There are a couple of people over here that are 6'2", a couple of people over here that are kind of like 5'4", and that's the distribution, right? That's a bell curve. However, if I had another kind of measure which has to do with human potential in terms of, let's say, money, if I had a bell curve and I said the average, if I had, sorry, not a bell curve, but a distribution, a room filled with 50 people, randomly selected, and I said that the average income in this room is $1 billion, or the average wealth in this room is $1 billion, you're not going to say, oh, well, that means everybody has about some people have 1.2 and some people have $500 million. It's like, no, it's more likely that there's like one person that has $2 billion and then everybody else has like $50,000. You get the picture? It's a lopsided curve when it comes to these kind of human things. And I don't care if it's basketball, being a surgeon, or having money, or selling books, or selling records. The average record sale versus the top record seller. Average book guy versus the top selling book person. Stephen King, for example. All these other things in terms of human potential heavily not what you think they are. So if you're looking at the average, you need to understand what you're looking at. And Snuggles, no. Someone's begging Snuggles over there, but Mr. Young Swift says he was just learning about this. Okay, yeah, so that's the idea. That's the idea, ladies and gentlemen. So all these targets are arbitrary, okay? That's the first thing you got to get out of it. The whole point is this. You are a human being. Singular. One. You came in here. Don't let anybody define targets for you. Oh, they can define things all they want. Don't slip into the straitjacket. Don't do it. And guess what? And this is an admonishment, okay? When you are following someone else's dream, it is easy for them to funnel you into their racket. And it may be a generally innocuous or mundane or, not so dangerous racket, just as, the middle class racket, for example, right? Just, okay, well, you're just going to be a normal, average person. That's a racket. Or it could be worse. They could come in and be like, look, Young Swift, we started out by talking about that $10,000 a month target, and I say, hey, switch it to $100,000 a month. If you have a $100,000 a month target and some scammer comes at you with some multi-level marketing scheme and says, hey, come join my multi-level marketing scheme, you're not going to fall for it because you have a $100,000 a month target. You know that it takes 10 times more than you think it's reasonable to get that $100,000 a month. You are going to be already on the path to get $100,000 a month. When this idiot comes in with a silly target and his silly, whatever, you're not going to fall for it. Let me get a one in the chat if this is clear. When you have big enough goals, which you should have, you're not going to fall for either the scheme of just the general herd of, be over here and that's good enough. And also, you're not going to fall for the idiots who come and tell you, hey, come join this little thing over here. Come to my little trading class over here. Call this number on WhatsApp and we'll help you make. You're like, nigga, I'm over here chasing. I actually had this experience once. Quite recently. It was about two years ago. Okay? Shout out to another super chatter in the house. Bam, $20. That puts you at sponsor level for the show. Pareto principle. Ha ha ha. I like that one. I like the Pareto principle. Very much in line with the things we've been saying. However, thank you for the clarification. Malcolm Gladwell goes into detail on outliers. Indeed. Yes, they must think you're as dumb as they are. They think, and Dr. Mad says the mathematical error you have spotted out, Ike, is actually a pertinent one in terms of people believing, okay, that to be hyper successful, you must assume hyper negative potential like in a sine cosine curve. All right. The engineers got that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was telling you about not falling for other people's schemes. This happened to me a couple of years ago. You see, I was going to the gym when the gyms were still open and stuff before I had to switch into my bicycle and then P90X yoga scheme. Along with the carnivore diet, ladies and gentlemen, keto. So I was going to the gym and given my disposition, I tend to I make this error of thinking, people are generally kind of, anyways, it doesn't really matter why I made this mistake. But someone was telling me, I was talking about mentorship in terms of like, because one important thing is you always got to be reaching up. If you are the baddest, the baddest ass in the room, you're in the wrong room. We all know that, right? We all know that. We know that. So I was having a conversation, and this is after doing, I have a personal trainer. After doing the personal training thing, this other personal trainer came over and we were just having a conversation after the workout session. And then we were talking about, I was talking about, right, reaching up, like wanting someone, mentorship, generally speaking, right, in that kind of sense, right? I want to go rub shoulders with, maybe some billionaires or something. And this guy, because I was stupid, I didn't really realize what he was doing, but this guy kind of was like talking a good game about this group that he was part of, okay? And long story short, if it was a multi-level marketing thing, I did not fall for it after I went for this meeting because I already had targets way, 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 way higher than what they were doing and what they were talking about. I was not impressed. I was not impressed at all. A lot of people fall for that kind of stuff because they don't have the targets that are high enough. Because they're going for that herd mentality, this is where you should be, this is the average. Oh, look at this, let me dangle this little carrot in front of you. It's like, no, if you were going for your $100,000 a month, you're not going to fall for multi-level marketing crap. So, yeah, I got sucked in. I attended one meeting and I was like, damn. Well, they didn't see me again. But the point is, I didn't fall for it because I already have ridiculous goals and ridiculous targets. And whatever the hell they were saying in that meeting was not impressive at all. It did not impress me. The characters did not impress me. The spokesman did not impress me. Nothing they were saying impressed me. And it should not impress you either. How does it not impress you? When you set your targets on 10x levels. You set your targets in 10x levels, you're not going to be falling for either the general scheme of staying in the middle class or these other people's silly schemes of, trying to get you to sell whatever the hell they're trying to get you to sell on Instagram. Okay? Don't lose that childhood vigor that you have. The childhood vigor and the belief that you had. A baby takes 10x actions, okay? They don't stop. They go for it. Now, the admonishment that you should keep your youth is one that is, it is manifold in its utility. It covers so much. But I just think I should mention it there because you did not come out thinking about being average. No, as a child, you didn't have any limits, right? It is later they mold you, and people think that growing up into being an adult is something you think. Most people actually are becoming an adult is a retardation in certain dimensions, and these dimensions are quite important, and it has to do with activity and also targets, which is a very important one, and along with many other things. Okay, people, it's like 50 Cent song. Young Swift, I know you know this one, or maybe you're too young for the 50 Cent, but damn, homie, in high school, you was the man, homie. What happened to you, right? That line. That line, okay? This is true of many, many people, right? And I'm sure this crew or this thing, like you grew up with somebody, when they were growing up, you guys were in grade school. The person was 9. They were so full of life and you thought they were going to, and then you meet them years later and it's like, what the hell happened to you, bro? Well, they fell for the trick. Somebody told them about, oh, this is what your target should be. This is what reasonable is. Why do you want to? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 indeed. And yeah, that 50 was the good. Yeah, 50 when he came out, he had some. He had some nice bars. He had a way of the the kind of the switch with the it was good. And then it just kind of became trash after that. So, ladies and gentlemen, okay, what is the point? This is about setting unreasonable targets, okay? and taking unreasonable amounts of activity. And we just defined what reasonable versus unreasonable is. Reasonable is defined by the herd. And you should know that what average is not some kind of linear thing whereby average, on a scale from 1 to 10, average is right there in the middle. No, 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 no. Average is more like 1.5 on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to human potential. And I'm being very generous because if you look at it, the kind of curve I've described, right? The average book sales. Go out there and look up, what's the average book sale of an author? And then compare it with the top selling person. And then pick your socioeconomic data. Pick your data in terms of prowess and physical activity. Let's say runners, right? Basketball players or whomever, right? Same thing applies with professionals, okay? The average surgeon versus the top surgeon, very different. Okay, they're not even close. The average nurse, the average engineer versus the top-notch person, they're not even close to each other. So when you think average, you need to rethink. As I said, success is important. Success is a duty because without success, problems don't get solved. It is an ethical issue. It is an end worth pursuing. And if you're thinking, oh, I'll let the human beings take care of the human problems because I'm a pig and I'm just going to wallow in dirt, then go ahead and be a pig. It's fine. As I said, I'm not into kind of like, boosting people's self-esteem about like, oh, you're better than a pig. If you're a pig, you're a pig. Accept it. Move on. Right? So, why should you multiply the goal or target by 10? Why should you multiply it? We just talked about success. We talked about the background of this. Okay, what is the mindset that the mindset within which you're operating here? Why should I multiply the goal target by 10? Because now we're trying to justify it to ourselves, okay? We're trying to undo the programming. And one way to undo it is you got to realize that it always takes way more effort. Let me get a one in the chat if you understand, okay? Whatever it is you thought you were going to do. You thought you were going to clean the house, right? You were going to do the dishes and vacuum and then mop and blah, 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 right? And you allotted a certain amount of time. You have a calendar and it says, okay, it's going to take you an hour to read these emails and respond. It always takes longer. It always takes more effort. It's always harder. That's why I say, hey, you want to make $10,000 a month? Well, just switch the goal to $100,000 a month. Okay? Well, why should I do that? Well, it's going to take you it's going to be harder regardless. It's going to be harder regardless. Okay? Why? Simple things like, unforeseen variables and circumstances and then entropy, inflation, other people's failure, so on and so forth. In terms of something as simple as cleaning the house, you still are not able to gauge how long it takes. How much more when you're trying to start this business? There's so many moving parts. You think you cannot even gauge how long it takes you to clean your house. So, when you add all these other variables, including other people's failure, including the client didn't do what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to give you the rest of their business next year and you were banking. Chances are they're not. Employees, your business partners fail you. Banks didn't give you the loan. This, that, the other. It's just not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out. You need to multiply your goals by 10. Okay? And here's the mind trick. Here's why you're doing it. Okay, the first part is because it's going to take more effort. And here's the other part is because you're going to need the motivation. That's the hack. Since it's going to take 10 times more, you're going to take a lot more work anyways to even do your small target or whatever. Boost it up. What does it immediately give you? What do you immediately get when you boost it up? Assuming you're not a pig. Okay, because this is not a message for pigs. This is for people who are already decided that they're human beings. When you boost it up, you immediately get motivation, okay? All right. The bigger the goal, the less it feels like work. Because it's going to be work anyways. It's going to be work anyways. But when you set the goal way up there, look, you come out of college, again, let's use that $10,000 a month example. I want $10,000 a month in this certain period of time. I'm going to try to get it, okay? But when you switch it to $100,000 a month, it feels less like work because you're hungry. You're like a dog in the back of a meat truck, you know? That's what you immediately get. Forget actually hitting the target yet, but right in the beginning, when you actually say, hey, I'm going to get off the herd, I've already clearly seen the fallacy, the logical fallacies involved with looking at averages and so on and so forth. And I'm already going to remove myself from the herd because it's arbitrarily determined based on averages and so on and so forth. And who the hell are these people telling me what's reasonable? Boom, you got that. And then you set the goal really, really high. What do you immediately get? You immediately get that motivation. You can begin to spend that motivation right now. And it's going to feel less, okay, like work. Because it's going to be a lot of work anyways. All right? We're following. Let me see what's going over here in the chat. Let's see what's going over here in the chat. Ah, we have Wallace over here. We're pulling out all the brainiacs from the woodwork. That's a very good point you make there. Okay? People who tell you to work smarter. Don't work harder. Work smarter. You know, it's whatever. They could go to hell. All right? And it really doesn't even matter anyways. Like, well, That's not your problem. Your problem is your goals are too small. The amount of activity you think it takes is too small. Okay? With the setting of the big goal, you immediately get that motivation. It's going to take you harder anyways. Okay? And we already know that failure and success are equally as hard. As a matter of fact, failure is harder. Okay, it's like, I don't know, man. $1 million a year, that's kind of hard. Well, is it easy being broke? No, it's a lot harder, I would say. Because guess what? You only have 24 hours in the day anyways. It's not like these people who are making $1 million a year have split themselves into 10 people and they're just beat down to a pulp. It's like, no, they're doing the same amount of work you're doing in a certain way. But it's a question of their goals, their targets, and then how they efficiently multiply the actions and then explode, because obviously you're going to need to leverage other people's time, other people's money, and so on and so forth in order to achieve all these kinds of goals and so on and so forth, right? But it doesn't mean that they're just same old people going through the same stresses that you will be going through anyways. Might as well have money while you're going through the stress. Shout out to Xanatos Clutch. Xanatos Clutch in the house. Always nice to see you here. Here's my token of appreciation. Let us humans aim our goals higher. Then GME and AMC. Indeed, GameStop and AMC. Dogecoin, by the way, for any Dogecoin millionaires out there recently, 600% in the last week or so, right? And me and Solo TV84 kind of had a little bet about Dogecoin. And I was going to sell. Well, I was going to hold. I held. I only got 300% though. But 600% altcoins, all that's, yep, we're going to not get derailed, but definitely shout out, $10 super chat from Xanatos Clutch. Okay? Shout out. Hi, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. So, to the point about motivation. This kind of came to me, as things often do when you're taking a shower. I was like, oh, this is a good one. Heaven. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you understand already where that last point is going. Because basically we're saying that you're going to need a lot of motivation, okay? And that the motivation needs to be kind of unreasonable. That's why you need to set that target 10 times anyways. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you understand what I mean by heaven and hell are unreasonable. Okay? Imagine this. If the goal, the target, what you're aiming for, right, in this kind of morality play, if heaven was just a steak dinner, or if heaven was just cheesecake, tiramisu, whatever it is that you like, you're going to, hey, you know what? You're going to live a lifetime worth of being good, being kind to your neighbor, not lying, not cheating, not stealing, cleanse yourself from the 7 deadly sins and so on and so on and so forth. And at the end, you'll get a steak dinner. You're like, what? No, the motivation has to be huge. It's a lie. It's not even a lie. It's not like, oh, you know what? You're going to get another life worth of maybe, good riches or something. No, it's eternal bliss in the presence of the Almighty God. Streets of gold. And if we look at the negative, right? Hell, just eternal damnation, just torture. You're just burning and burning and burning and burning. And you never die. Right? This gives us already an insight. This is ancient stuff, right? In other words, we haven't changed. This is how we are. We need big goals or big deterrents in order to get motivated. It's the same thing. That's all I'm saying here. That's all this book is about. Well, first of all, we already know success is important. Secondly, we already know, hey, who are these idiots? Who are these people telling me what reasonable is? I'm not a pig. Right? And guess what? It's going to be hard work anyways. Failing is hard. Plus, hey, I can hack the system by giving myself a big motivation, by setting a big goal, and it feels less like work. Okay? All right? And I think the heaven example, and let me check out the chat to see if that made sense. Yes. I see some ones over there. Yes, I did say bye. So, shout out to Kareem Sharif for another $25. I definitely appreciate it. And also thank you again for the $25 on the Cash App that you put in the last stream. Okay? The last stream, you dropped that $25. I definitely appreciate that, Kareem. And thank you very much. You sold Dogecoin at 0.8. Well, okay, the important, oh yeah, you sold it at 0.8, 0.08. But where did you buy it? That's the question. Where did you buy it? Where did you buy? At what price? Okay, so this is kind of why you should multiply, okay? This is kind of why you should multiply that goal, all right? And this is kind of what the book is about, all right? And we don't want to, okay? It's already been about an hour. We don't want to be too long-winded, okay? I get excited about stuff like this. As I said, this is kind of like right up my alley, right up my personality here. Do. Shoot first, ask questions later. You give me an opportunity, I say yes. All right? I'm unreasonable. I'm crazy. Ike, are you an overachiever? Nicer. You were the one that asked that, right? Last stream, I caught you, Nicer, saying Ike's an overachiever. No, I'm not on the scale at all. I'm not on that scale. I reject your scale. I'm not an overachiever at all, not on my scale. I have acres and acres of uncultivated land still. I am barely doing anything on my scale. Overachiever, that's for the pigs. All right? So the level of activity that it also takes as well is that you need to understand, as we have already made clear, because the activity and the goal, these are kind of one and the same thing. We're just now just looking at the thing from the other side of the coin now. Okay, they're not one and the same thing, but obviously the goal determines the activity, right? You know, the goal is to mow the lawn. Well, then the activity is to mow the lawn, right? However, why do you need to multiply by 10 all these things? Well, we already kind of intuited the fact that it always takes longer, it always takes more. And then when you're embarking upon some kind of lifelong or bigger goal, more complex goal involving more moving parts and people and so on and so forth, when you 10x one parameter, right, it leads to the multiplication of all other parameters, right? So if it always takes more, right? That's our first thing that we have already comprehended, apprehended, intuited. It will take more effort, okay? If it takes more effort, then it will take more personnel, more money, more marketing, more, right? That's just kind of how it goes. It doesn't just take more of one thing, it just takes more of everything by definition, because all these things are related. Well, I want to grow my company by 10%. The 10x rule says, no, switch that. Change it to the goal of 100%. How much does it take to grow a company 100%? It takes this kind of activity, this kind of activity, this kind of activity. It's like, okay, multiply that, what you think is reasonable activity, by 10. Okay? And then, whoa. Now, that's a goal worth pursuing. Now it becomes a game worth playing. It's not just drudgery, you know, middle class drudgery. Just so you can get a few days off later and then maybe go to Ruth Chris for a steak or something. It's like, that's So this is the flip side of what we were talking about earlier. We looked at the motivation aspect previously, and now we're talking about the target aspect, okay? Right? If it takes more time, then it takes more personnel, then it takes more money, then it takes more marketing, it takes more activity, it takes more clients. It just blows up. And we already know. Something as simple as cleaning your house always takes more than you think. Everything is that way. In order to get it done, therefore, just multiply the goal, multiply the amount of activity in your head, and then poof, you're going to go like a rocket ship. And you're going to achieve a lot more. You're always going to fall short of the target, okay? That's not the point. That's not the point, okay? But you're going to hit way higher, you know, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But we're making it real, okay? We're not just talking cliches and BS that you read in magazines, whatever, right? We're talking real stuff here, and we're talking about real reasons why you should do it. Why? Because if you don't do it, then you've accepted a certain kind of a narrative which was created by the herd, and you've accepted that human problems are to be solved by human beings, of which you are not one, because you're a pig. You will have commensurate motivation, which you just described in terms of the heaven thing, right? Motivations when it comes to humans need to, and by the way, the whole 70 virgins thing is not actually 70. It's not a number. It's like they don't go counting them out. Talking about maybe some arguments about, whether it's 70 raisins or 70 virgins or whatever. But the point being the 70 number, right? 70 means almost like to your heart's content. Just like in the Bible, it also says, there's a question when Jesus was asked to go, how often should you forgive in a day? And it says you should forgive 70 times 7. It's more like 7 and 70 was more in that culture, that time, right? That era, in that area, was more like the as much as possible, right? It's more like the yeah, you know, all the time. Yeah, everything you want. That's what that number is. Okay? Just a side note. Just a side note. Allahu Akbar. No offense, people. Or maybe offense. Yeah, who gives a damn? Get rid of the blaming and take responsibility. Okay? Back to the mindset aspect of things, okay? This is key to this whole kind of thing. This is key to breaking out of the matrix. This is key to coming away from the herd. This is key to not letting other people set goals for you. Super key. L Boyd getting all gangster over there. And we got Dr. Mad in the house. Dr. Mad in the house seems to be spotting out the INTJ gang. The INTJ gang in the house. The crazy crew. Dr. Mad says, I would say, Ike, it depends. Some people are extrinsically motivated, okay? And they can still be outside of the matrix. Yes. I don't mean that you cannot take your cues from outside and be outside the matrix. Yeah, I'm just saying don't go with this, oh, this is this class and this is the middle class and this is what is reasonable. I'm talking about that. Like if someone else is defining what's reasonable for you, yeah, it's quite separate from being extrinsically motivated. But don't let people define what's reasonable for you when it comes to goals and the activities required for attaining set goals. So basically what I'm saying is this. In this part, we're talking about responsibility, okay? Because the blame mechanics need to go, okay? They need to go. Just like we said, there's no shortage of success in your particular life, in my life, okay? Can I be more shredded? Can I be more healthy in terms of my workout? Of course. That's a problem to be solved. Right? Can I be more organized, more this, more that? So there's no shortage of success because there's no shortage of problems to be solved. If we blow it up to the human level scale, dude, problems everywhere in the economy, you know? Transportation problems, communication problems, food problems, all kinds of problems. So the idea that, oh, well, you know what, only a certain amount of people can succeed because, and they already have the game sewn up. No, success is the attainment and maintaining of stated goals. These goals, generally speaking, have to do with solving problems. That's the way we contextualize things, right? And is there a shortage of problems? No, you're just being a pig, okay? So, this no responsibility, no accountability, no control, no happiness. The white man's holding back my internet. The white man held me back. Shout out to O'Shea. The white man holding you back. Or whatever else is holding you back. Look. Complaining and blaming take a lot of energy. You might as well redirect it. Okay? It's the same. It's a corollary to that idea that failure is hard. Okay? The psychological torture you're putting yourself through in this kind of complaining, blame mechanics, and so on and so forth, might as well get psychological torture by walking into the fear. Okay? Walk into the fear. Set your goals higher. And the trick, as we said, is things actually get easier when you set your goals higher, just like the heaven and hell thing. If heaven was just some kind of a steak dinner, then you're not so motivated to do it. Or if you're not motivated that way, if you're motivated by avoidance of hell, well, if hell was just, some kind of a, you you have a bad day. Hell is just like, just one bad day. Then, screw it. Who wants to be good? You're not going to be good. We need massive goals and deterrents in order to be motivated. That's just how we work. Okay? It's not your fault, okay? Fault is about blame, but it's your responsibility. Everything, okay? Everything is 100% your responsibility. What do you mean? But this person did that to me, and my parent, my uncle, and my great uncle spent the family fortune, and my mom told me I was a loser, just like my dad. Fault is about blame. Fault is but maybe fault is useful in court. Okay, fault is useful in court. Assigning guilt versus innocence. Who's going to pay whom? Who is at fault? But responsibility is about action. Okay? I have a video on this one of my bicycle ride videos, right? Where I said, it is not your fault, but it's your responsibility. And I gave the truck driver analogy. Shout out to Professor Amy Wax. She is a professor at Cornell Law School. Check her out. In one of her books, she has this very nice analogy that I modified a little bit. Okay, and it's a truck driver analogy. Okay? It is the truck driver analogy. So, I'm riding my truck. Yes, Xanatos Clutch, one bad day is basically purgatory. Yeah, it's like, you know what? If you don't really knock it out the park, yeah, we'll give you one bad day, and then you can go to heaven, right? Yeah. So they kind of they put the gradation for you. They made it a little, not so stark, because it's like eternal bliss or eternal damnation. It's like whoa. But how about something in the middle, So we're talking about the fact that everything is your responsibility, and people may say, well, they don't get this difference between fault and responsibility. And I say, okay, the truck driver analogy is key. And this is good for everything. I don't care if you're talking about reparations or whatever, okay? Yeah. I said it, reparations, all right? Everything's your responsibility. You're riding your bicycle, and Jeff Bezos is driving a car. No, he's driving a truck. Jeff Bezos is driving a truck, and he hits you, boom, okay, right there on the intersection, okay? Right there in Palo Alto somewhere, right? He hit you with a truck. It's a Tesla truck that he was testing out. He did not use the autopilot thing. Jeff Bezos was taking the Tesla truck out for a spin. Boom, and he hit you. Jeff Bezos has billions, as we all know. He is more than able to make you whole, as they say, right? So he's taken to court, and he is found 100% at fault. Omega Dreads in the house. He is 100% at fault. And he can give you all, the judge says, look, not to be unreasonable, but let's take it to the extreme. The judge says Jeff Bezos has to give you all his money, right? Oh, yes, he's at fault. He needs to give me my money. Oh, yes, this person's at fault. They need to pay me this, that, or the other. And yes, I'll say it again. Reparations, for example. But guess what? Guess what? Jeff Bezos' money will not do the physical therapy for me. I have to wake up morning after morning and get on that treadmill and take step after grueling step for 6 months to try to get myself to walk again. I have to go to the therapist to try to get rid of the trauma. I need to heal myself. Even if he look, Jeff Bezos, okay, he is absolutely willing. He gives me all his money. Right? And he's like, I'll do anything to help you out, Ike. I'm sorry I hit you with the truck. But can he actually make me whole? Can he take action for me? Can he take action for me? Can he do my physical therapy for me? Is he going to feel the pain for me? Is he going to go? No. This is the difference between fault and responsibility, blame and responsibility. If you're playing this calculus in your head about who's at fault and who's to blame while you're not taking action, no one can take action for you. Even if he is Jeff Bezos and willing to give you all the billions, still they cannot make you whole by definition, because they cannot take action for you. They cannot feel the pain for you. They cannot do the physical therapy for you. They cannot do the mental therapy for you. They cannot heal you, no matter how hard they try. So get off it. It takes a lot of energy to do that crap. Might as well direct your energy towards taking action. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. What is written on that, right? That's written there. But guess what? Guess what? It still sucks, and you still need to do it, right? It's still, and in many, many other dimensions, especially when it comes to dimensions that have to do with discipline and such, it's even harder. Yes, you can get a better physical therapy, that is. But when it comes to fixing your situation in terms of mentally, now I'm not talking about the accident anymore, getting more discipline, running a nice program, building this up, forming stable families, blah, 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 blah. That's even more dependent on you. Because there's certain situations that no matter how easy or conducive the environment is made by the use of resources, by Jeff Bezos' money. Okay, Jeff Bezos is going to put me at the best hospital, the best, but I still got to do that shit. Okay, and the shit that I got to do is the suckiest part, the hardest part. And if you have a personality like mine, I don't really want you to kind of be involved with my shit anyways. Okay? Yeah, but that's just me, right? I move way towards responsibility all the time. I don't want you involved in my head. I don't want to think about you. I don't care what you did to me. I don't want to think about you. I just don't want to think about you. Okay? No. Okay? I just don't. But I get it 100%. That's kind of like a personality thing. It has to do with, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, maybe, certain other things, right? However, all things being equal, you still got to do that physical therapy, and that part really sucks, all right? That part really sucks. And I mentioned at the onset that this book really resonates with me because it's kind of like my personality type, but, there is a part of it that I needed to learn from, which is the part about actually stating goals and so on and so forth. But in terms of the activity and so on and so forth, is right up my alley. But still, hearing it from someone else is always beneficial, right? Because you may think that you're crazy. You know what I mean? You may start to believe that I don't care how strong you are, right? I don't care how independent minded you are. You may start beating yourself down a little bit. Like, you may start limiting yourself a little bit too. You may start making some excuses for yourself. But when someone else comes out and says, hey, wake up. Success is important. Who the hell are you letting define success for you? Who's setting your targets for you? Okay? It's going to suck anyways. You think success is hard? How about failure? Try failure. Try being broke. Try living paycheck to paycheck. You think is that easier? Right? So on and so on and so on and so on, right? And this idea that, there's a short supply. No, there's problems all around you in your personal life. There's problems all around you in your family, okay? Your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, they broke their arm. They can't afford this bill, that, whatever. There's problems everywhere. So for you to say, you know what, I'm just going to chill because, success is already taken. That's a huge excuse, okay? You could go help your cousin. The fact you're not helping your cousin is an excuse because you're like, you know what? Elon Musk already has that game sewn up. But no, you're not even helping your cousin, right? That's the idea. That is the idea. Okay, so do not compete, dominate. Do not compete, dominate. We went over this when we went over the 0 to 1 book by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. We know Peter Thiel. He was one of the first investors in Facebook. Okay, he's in the movie The Social Network about Facebook, right? He's part of the PayPal mafia along with Elon Musk. They're called the PayPal mafia because a group of these dudes that just seem to succeed over and over and over again. Okay? Which gives you a certain kind of insight into what it takes to succeed. And that it's not all luck, ladies and gentlemen. The idea about, oh, well, it's mostly luck is one of those things that is put into your head by the herd. When you're taking massive activity and you have massive goals, you're going to get all the luck. We all know the saying, right? That the harder I work, the luckier I get. Has anyone heard that? Or also, do we understand the point being made here? Let me get a 1 in the chat. If A, you may have heard that thing about the harder I work, the luckier I get. Or, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Blah, 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 blah. Or when we take empirical information about certain people who just seem to succeed over and over and over again. And we see certain characteristics that they all have. And it tends to have to do with having big goals. I'm going to Mars. And I work like a madman. And then he gets all the luck. I wonder why. Right? Success leaves clues. Okay? Success leaves clues. So Peter Thiel says competition is for losers. Okay? This is to jar you a little bit, right? Because competition is not what you want. No one is ever like, you know what? I can't wait to go into the restaurant business in San Jose, open another, the 100th South Indian restaurant so I can compete with all the other South Indian restaurant people out there. I just can't wait to compete. No, that's not what you want. People want to dominate. The restaurant business is a good example of a business that's just filled with competition. Okay. And we know, generally speaking, people say, hey, you don't want to go into the restaurant business. Why do people say don't go into the restaurant business? Because there's too much competition. What does too much competition mean? Too much competition means low margins. Right? We don't have to go through the logic as to why a lot of competition leads to low margins. Too many people there eating it up. We could just keep it that simple, right? It's not a lot of opportunity because there's just too many people there already. How can you have high margins? If there was high margins, more people would just come in and eat it up. That's the definition of high competition. Okay? Low margins, why are you going to be struggling for low margins? Okay? Low margins equal no innovation and no creativity. Because in order to evolve, well, let's say, in order to innovate, excuse me, take a sip of water. In order to innovate, you're going to need to do some back investing back, plowing back into, you're going to need time to sit and think. You're going to need time to spend a couple $1 million in research and development. You can't do that in the restaurant business. Okay, this is now getting into in line with the 10x thing. Have 10x goals and have 10x levels of activity, unreasonable targets and unreasonable amounts of activity. Okay, this is about dominating, right? When you do those kinds of things, you're going to dominate. And when you dominate, you can evolve. You can innovate. You can be creative. You can actually solve problems. That's the idea. Okay. Innovation requires monopoly. Ooh, the bad word. Some of us have been told not to like that word, even though in our personal lives, you all want, hey. Let's be honest. Don't you want to be a monopoly? Don't you want to have unfair advantage? Let me get a 1 in the chat if you want unfair advantage and you want to be a monopoly. Let me get a 2 in the chat if you want to go compete with all the other South Indian restaurants in San Jose. If that's your dream, I want to compete. I don't want unfair advantage. And by unfair, I don't mean someone else is imposing it on them. I mean, you're doing things that other people are unwilling to do. You have talents that other people do not have. You have networks. You have systems in place other people do not have, right? You want to be a monopoly, but somehow, by some weird magic trick, we have been told monopoly is a bad thing. The incongruency. You want to be a monopoly. You want to make big moves. You want to get called into a congressional hearing. You want those kinds of problems. Yes. You want big money so you can pay big taxes. Yes. Those are the kinds of problems you want. You don't want to fly under the radar. Why? Point is, even if you don't get there, the life that you're going to live as a result of setting the goals that high is just going to be overall better, because life is hard anyways. Right? Because the mere anxiety of being a human being, facing death, facing limitation, and so on and so forth, is going to be present anyways. The work is going to be present anyways, right? So why not shoot to be somebody that gets called into a congressional hearing and grilled? Why not shoot to be the kind of person that the IRS audits? Those are the kinds of problems you want. Why not shoot to be somebody that gets accused of being a monopoly? Yeah, at least you're doing something. Yes. So now we're just talking about having understood some of the basic premises, and then having understood the mindset and how we need to sidestep a lot of the things that have been created for us in terms of accepting certain other people's goals and falling for their traps. There's certain other things that we're looking at now, right? You need to get known. You need to promote yourself. You need to control the narrative, okay? Yeah, we know Barack Obama, he wrote that book, and he told everybody about his, how he was snorting cocaine with Becky. That way no one could accuse him of, snorting cocaine with Becky. Because, yeah, I'm going to put it out there. Years before I come in over here, you need to control the narrative, generally speaking, okay? Now, why does this narrative control thing come up? Like, you're talking about marketing? Yes, because when you set your goals high enough, okay, you're going to need people to know you. I don't care if it's for-profit, non-profit, governmental or non-governmental, whatever it is that you're trying to do. When your goals are high enough, you are going to need people to know you, okay? So this is not, what do you mean, shameless self-promotion? No. You're going to need people to know you. I don't care if you're trying to form the best lawn mowing business in Minnesota or snowplow or whether you're trying to cure cancer. You're going to need people to know you. Shout out, 499, 499, Eddie Edheem. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Says, I can't wait to rewatch this. Many men wish death upon me. Lord, I can't cry no more. Can't look to the sky no more. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on my soul. Somewhere my heart don't cold. About that. Many men wish death upon me. Know what I'm saying? Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Yes, we understand that we want to be monopolies. Okay? And there is a curious thing, and it is part of the way the herd gets brainwashed. Let's just use that term. The herd gets brainwashed by picking the worst example of something, let's say a monopoly, and the bad things that they do. And then they say, look. Monopoly means you bribe the government. Or look, monopoly means it's like, no, it just means that you're dominating the market. It just means that you have look, why don't you use Bing? Who uses Bing for search? or uses Yahoo still? Did somebody bribe you? Did Google bribe you? Google is actually better. Here's another way, okay? The cryptocurrency thing that's going on right now. You have people like Janet Yellen. They'll come out and they'll say, cryptocurrency is used for crime and it's used for illegal activities. We need to crack down on it. They do this all the time. It is absolutely insane. No, let me tell you what gets used for crime. The US dollar. 99.999% of the crime and the cocaine that's being sold out there is in US dollar. Yes, criminals also use cars and cell phones and knives. But they come out and they tell you, this cryptocurrency, criminals are using it and we need to crack down on it. No, you know who's guilty of fraud and guilty of all kinds of bad things? The big banks. You know who has to pay fine after fine year after year? Goldman Sachs. If you look at Goldman Sachs' rap sheet, you would be flabbergasted. You would think it was the mob. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they get accused. I mean, either JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, it doesn't matter which big bank, constantly getting caught, doing stuff with cartels, constantly getting caught for doing stuff with, human trafficking and so on and so forth. They just pay a fine. And then the authorities that be come out and say, this Bitcoin thing or this cryptocurrency thing, I'm just using this as an example, okay? Because that's how they tell you too about this monopoly thing, this, that other thing. It's like, you just got to understand that it's all bullshit. Let that be your default setting. Whenever you hear some freaking herd controlling mouthpiece coming out there telling you something, it's bullshit. Crypto is used for crime. Yes, so is, cell phones and laptops and this and that and the other. But what exactly? Look, the dollar is the biggest. That's cash. Cash is still the preferred method of doing the crime. It does not even come close. Okay, so anyways, not to go off into that tangent, but look, man, everything you hear out there is a lie. Just put it there that way. Everything, the valuation of companies is a lie. The fucking money market is a lie. It's all lies, man. Like, just tune out already. Tune out. And live your life, starting anew, setting your own goals, going with your own targets. Do your own thing. Don't believe these people. If you're not a pig, that is, right? If you want to be a pig and wallow over there with the rest of the swine, fine. That rhymed. Practical tips, okay? This is the last part of the book. Okay? This is the last part of the book, and let me see how we're doing on the time. Okay, not too bad. So I'm trying to shorten these up because for those who don't catch it live, when they see it later and they see, oh my God, this is like a 3.5 hour stream, they get scared. And we're not trying to scare nobody. But as we wind down, okay, if anyone has any particular questions that we can kind of encapsulate or comments and so on and so forth, I'll just leave the link over there. Okay. So the rest of the book is kind of filled with practical tips of the sort that you can find in this channel, for example, right? How to manage your energy and how to manage your time, okay? You can watch my video on my pyramid method, for example, or the last video with me and Dr. Thunder where we talk about overcoming sloth, those kinds of things, right? So one thing that you should know is you need to be able to define for yourself what you want and why you want it, preferably in one sentence. What you want and why you want it, preferably in one sentence. Clean, crystallized. Okay? Now, activities such as this and activities such as, strategic type of, externalizing, like crystallizing and then putting it down. These are the things that are not so much in my personality that I kind of get from books like this. That's why I also reviewed a book by Patrick Bet-David about your next 5 moves, right? Someone like me, I tend not to crystallize my goals, I just tend to say yes. What's going on over there? Yes. Can you do this? Yes, 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 yes. And that takes you quite far. But I understand that what brought you to a certain point is not necessarily what's going to take you to the next step. So I need to be able to incorporate some of the more strategic, by strategic, I mean accountant like, manager like, CEO like type of activities, as opposed to just the pure entrepreneur type of stuff, right? Now, granted, that's not my strong suit, and I have other people do this kind of stuff, but you want to be able to. Now, I believe in maximizing your strengths, okay? But you want to at least know the lay of the land of your blind spots, right? So I've started, writing my goals down, right? It feels very uncomfortable for someone like me. Because I'd rather just stumble into it. I'd rather just like be a whirlwind of activity and boom, woo, what happened here, right? But now I'm trying to like write it down, okay? Increase this by that, increase clientele by blah, increase amount of spend by this, do more marketing over here, get this, that, and the other, right? Endeavor, blah, 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 that kind of a thing, okay? So, but generally speaking, on the overarching way, on a very high level, you want to be able to ask yourself, what do you want and why? I mean, on the highest level, what do you want and why, right? Picture yourself in an island. What would you do when you get it is another thing. Because a lot of people, the common answer would be, well, I want money. I want money. I want money. Well, picture yourself now. You have all the money. Okay, this is a good exercise. Okay, it's a good exercise because it's going to bear upon your motivations. Okay, I made a video. Again, this part of the book is, you could just pretty much go and watch my content in terms of my content about sales, persuasion, influencing, energy management, all that kind of stuff. This is what this part of the book is doing, right? We're breaking down how you get over fear, how you do certain things, blah, 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 right? But one good exercise from me now, not necessarily from the book, is vis-a-vis this thing about what you want and why. Think about, if your money is the answer, think about having all the money in the world, and you're stuck in an island somewhere, just you. What would you do? This kind of then will go to the intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, because if you're intrinsically motivated, you could be like, oh, if you're someone like me, you're like, I got all the money and all the time because I want the money for the time, okay? I want resources so I can have time. This is kind of my answer. My answer is I want resources so that I can have time, so that I can do my priestly, sage-like, creative type stuff, right? So I can write songs, write a book or two, right? Study more, including all the studies of whatever, physics, chemistry, math, everything. I want resources so that I can have time, so that I can do those things. That's kind of how I live my life, okay? However, if you cannot figure out, if you're like, if I'm stuck in that island, that's going to be, then you're extrinsically motivated. That means, you need other people, you need to do stuff for others, right? That's just one dimension along which you can define how you're motivated. But basically, you want to know what you want and why. A good exercise, again, is if you had all the money, all the resources, and you're stuck in an island, what would you do? Okay. A guitar player is like, I'll play guitar, I'll write songs, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll engineer. So, okay, right? Some other people have other things. They may be like, okay, I need to get off the island and go save the kids, right? That kind of a thing. Okay, now you're getting more crystallized because this is going to be key. And then you use that to set a very high goal, do lots of activities, overcome the fear. Okay, don't give fear time, ladies and gentlemen. Don't give fear any time. So let's go ahead and do this. Don't give fear any time. Okay? Oh my God, I got to cold call this person. And I do this a lot, okay? I am not a social person per se, okay? It doesn't mean I'm not good at it. I can be good at it. I'm good at it, I'm good at all that stuff. But I don't prefer to be, slapping bags, mingling, talking on phones. Not my thing, okay? However, hence I use this example because making cold calls in terms of reaching out to people for selling and so on and so forth, networking, that kind of a thing. That'd be one of the things that kind of, maybe scare me a little bit, right? And when I'm over there talking with my account manager, right, like a sales counterpart, and I'm like, okay, there's this opportunity, blah, 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 what's XYZ, I always say, let's call him now. Because in order to get rid of fear, you don't give fear any time. You don't go and say, okay, let me go and think about it. Let me go and plan it out. It doesn't matter. The reason he takes your call is because you called, not because you planned it out. Okay? I always just very quickly, like, okay, obviously you got to be competent and know what you're doing. You got to have a system. Okay? I have my system of attention, intention, and big claim, which is, why am I calling him? How am I getting his attention? Why am I calling him? And what's the claim? What is he getting out of it? Right? I immediately, boom, 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 and I say, let's call him right now. And then we just call him. You're scared of making that call? Just pick it up and call. Because if you give it time, the fear will grow. The fear does not get smaller. The fear only gets bigger with time. And you're going to get back and you're still going to need to call this person. So you're like, oh my God, this thing I got to do. I got to go call this person. I got to go out there and talk to her at the bar. Whatever the hell it is, just go and do it. Just go and do it. Okay? Because again, courage is not the absence of fear. The absence of, if it was the absence of fear, it would not be courage, right? It's like, so get over the whole, feeling bad that you're scared of shit. Like, no, you should be scared. If you're not scared, okay, you're not really alive. I think that's a paraphrase of I don't know if it's actually somebody that said that, but I think someone said that. Either way, I love that statement, okay? If you're not scared, you're not really alive, man. Okay? And the other statement that I think was Mark Twain about, go out on the limb because that's where the fruit is. And you're going to be scared when you're out on the limb. The fruit is not in the trunk. Okay, the trunk is very safe. You can cleave onto the trunk, but there's no fruit there, bro. Okay, go out on the limb. Be scared. Of course you're scared. I've asked to close the deal so many, many, many different times in many different contexts, and I'm scared every time. Big deal. Always scared, but I still do it. Don't matter, right? So, etc., etc. Who do we have on the line, and what do you have for us? Can you please introduce yourself? Are you muted?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you introduce yourself?
Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Negus.
It's niggas. All right, what you got for us?
Negus is an Ethiopian word for emperor. So, yeah. So a male emperor is called a Negus, and a female empress is called a Negust.
Negus and Negust. Okay.
Yeah.
What you got for us?
Yeah. So what Brother Ike's saying is true. So now I've had some issues when I'm trying to succeed extremely well, and some of it was during my degree. So I had to think about a couple things. I had to think, okay. Someone said that nah, I'm Negus. So during my degree, what I was thinking about is I had to discover a couple things, right? I had to think, okay, am I going to take it the normal route and then kind of follow a script whereby I would read up all the research? So I was doing research science, right? What that means is that when you go to the research, you got to decide how you're going to do it. So I had to think of the methodology of how I was going to succeed. I could have followed the script and kind of just read what other people have done and then sort of copied it and then maybe expanded a little bit. So I would have had a safe perch to start from, and then I expand from it. Now that's a safe option because it basically means whatever I do, it's going to work. Something will work out somehow, right? Right. Now, however, what happened is I had to decide, okay, I'm going to take a bit more of a risk. So what that means is I went on a wild chase. I just threw stuff out there. I tried different kinds of experiments out there that were not done before. Now I failed. I failed over and over and over and over. Nothing was working. In fact, I wasted a whole year of just trying things out, which had no chance of me working out. Now I could have just said, okay, I give up. Let me go back to my original plan because I only have a 3-year maximum to do what I needed to do. Instead, what I did is I continued doing the same crazy thing that I was doing. I took even more risks. Now I tried out more dangerous stuff. Again, I still maintained it safe enough, but it was more dangerous. Now, what I did though is I learned from it. And I kept closing in on the different directions that I got. And when I had a small chance, like a small little thing that worked, I understood why it worked, and I followed down that rabbit hole deeper. In the end, what happened is I exploded, and I got my stuff to work really, really well, and I succeeded, and I became Dr. Negus.
So your point basically is, you take risk, you go ahead and you take massive amount of activity, and you're gonna win at the end.
Only if you understand that you got to look at things across time. You cannot look at things linearly, right? Because when you're looking at things linear, I can't pronounce that word, but when you're thinking about things in a linear way, your mind is focused on the next goal, achieving the next goal and the next goal. There's nothing wrong with that when your goal is unimpressive. But when your goal is impressive, what you got to do is you got to accept that the plan that you had might not be the plan that pans out and gives you the success. You got to leave space out for many different plans and be willing to kind of shift your plan to the thing that works. If you made a plan and then something else is working, don't be shy and just say, okay, well, that looks nice, but I'm going to stick to my plan. You have to be bendable like water, like flow like water. Don't be stiff like a bamboo rod, right? If someone bends you, you got to bend that direction a little bit. Obviously, have your principles, but at the same time, be willing to bend enough like water so that when you finally reach the success, you start saying, yo, that's where I need to be going.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Niggas. And we're going to move on to the next person. And 100%, ladies and gentlemen, and as Dr. Matt is also kind of seconding what was said, which basically, it's not linear, it's exponential. If you had the map for doing what this great thing is, as he just mentioned, if your goal is normal, if your goal is simple and so on and so forth, right? If your goal is ordinary, well, then you can just go step by step, follow the cookbook and so on and so forth. But if you're trying to do something that is extraordinary, there is no map. You don't know necessarily, right? So you need to just go out there, 10x the goal, 10x the activity, again, keeping it within the context of the book, right? And then just go for it, okay? And this kind of a thing is said over and over and over in this channel. But then who do we have here with the Joker face? Can you introduce yourself?
Hey, I am Nigga's mother. I am Nigga's
now, this
mother.
is the nigga's mother, okay. Now, you know what? Keep talking. Let's entertain this. Go ahead.
Well, I came here because Niggas, he likes to talk a lot of things, so I came to apologize if he said anything on the show because he's a crazy boy in the end, but I think that his message comes from his heart in the end, so it's something true. Jokes aside, my name is Wallace, and I I have to say that I agree 100% with you, Ike, into the matter of the fact that if you have to do something, just go and do it. Don't spend any amount of time thinking about it, because every time you're into the thought process, you are already losing your energy. So basically, if you have to do it, just go and do it. And I just came here to make this joke with Kaizo, but I have to say that I agree, and was a great conversation that I had today. I'm really sorry. I really apologize if this mocked anyone here somehow.
No, it's all good. This is the domain of artists and philosophers. And if you want to be the skeptic, the type of, is it Diogenes that takes a shit on the stage and mock people, then trust me, we can handle it over here. Over here, we can handle all kinds of things. But basically, I get your point definitely that it takes, paralysis by analysis, right? But when it gets formulated in that way as a cliche, people just forget it. But basically, it takes a lot of energy vis-a-vis what I was talking about earlier. Like, I don't want to make the phone call to this particular person, okay? I just go ahead and make it. I don't want to go and plan and think and so on and so forth because it's going to distract me from all the other things that I need to do anyways. So I just pick it up and I call. It's similar to my one-touch policy, which I talked about with Dr. Thunder last time, okay? And since you as you said, you don't have anything else to add, I'm going to drop you off. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nigga's mother. He was misbehaving, and thank you very much for straightening things out. But basically, the idea is this. It's like the one-touch policy. The one-touch policy, okay? If you're already thinking about it, if it's already occupying your mind, if you already are planning or thinking about ways to overcome the fear, just go ahead and do it. Because guess what? That's going to be a huge distraction. You're not going to analyze your way out of fear. You only think you're doing that, but you just wasted a bunch of time and wasted a bunch of energy, wasted a bunch of efficiency, and you were distracted the whole time. Okay? Just go ahead and pull the trigger. Go ahead and pull the trigger. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. The whole point of this was to review this book, which I find particularly useful. This book, which I find particularly pertinent to everything that we tend to talk about in this channel. We talk about being better and doing better. We talk about taking massive action. We keep things simple, actionable, measurable, intuitive. Okay? And this says, hey. You need to set unreasonable goals and take unreasonable levels of activity in order to achieve them. Okay? Success is your duty. Success is your duty. Success. And yes, that's true, L. Boyd. It's artists and philosophers. And we are not shaken. We are not shaken over here. So, success is your duty. Success is a matter of ethics. Okay? Doesn't mean you have to be an ethical person. You could decide to reject this. But to the degree to which you understand that there are values worth pursuing, you need to understand that success is a definite value worth pursuing because without it, problems don't get solved. Problems don't get solved. Okay? And if you're going to leave it up to the human beings to solve human problems because you're a pig, then you need to understand that that's what you're doing to yourself. You're calling yourself a pig. And if you're going to accept what is considered reasonable in terms of activity, in terms of goals and so on and so forth, then you need to understand that these things are arbitrary. They're set by people whom are taking averages from the herd. And also you need to understand that the average when it comes to human capacity and human potential is not a linear scale. It's not, okay, I'm going to set my target right on 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. The average is 1.5. What do I mean by that? Who sells the most books versus average book sale? Who makes the most money versus average money? You see the massive difference? Why are you judging yourself based on aggregated data, based on averages and so on and so forth? Okay? Not good. Not good. And super key is that it is tough to fail. It is tough to complain. It is tough to be a loser. Trust me, it's no more tough to actually try to succeed. Look, we've all been in better shape and then less better shape. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you've been in great shape and then maybe you slipped, or maybe now you're in great shape but you were not in such great shape before. Okay, let me get a 1 in the chat if this particular line of thinking that we're going to go down, okay, with this particular narrow goal about our fitness, okay? Let me ask you this. It sucked to be out of shape, right? It wasn't like it was great to be out of shape. It wasn't like it was great to not be in good, have a good healthy body and be in good diet and so on and so forth. It sucks to fail. It's hard to fail. Okay? Yes. Success takes massive activity of a different kind, but failing also takes massive activity of a different kind. The self-pity and the blaming and the this and the that and the running out of energy and all that kind of stuff, that sucks too. Okay? All right? There was a phrase that I came up with. I'm going to super chat it somewhere where everybody can see at some point. Look, money is ridiculous, okay? Money is stupid. So stupid rich or stupid broke, it's your choice. Stupid rich or stupid broke, it's your choice. All right? And Chaos Rain, if you want to hop in, We just got a couple of minutes, okay? So if you got a question or a point to make, got to make it brief. All right? I'll drop the link, but we're winding up, okay? We're wrapping this up. All right? So, point being, you need to take massive action. You need to set these massive goals because that'll give you the immediate motivation to do things such that it's not going to be work anymore, because either way it sucks. Either way it sucks. That's why heaven is so ridiculous and hell is so ridiculous, because we need these massive either goals or deterrents in order to be motivated. Okay? If heaven was just a steak dinner, what's the point? If hell was just kind of like you have one bad day, what's the point? No, it's got to be an eternity of torture or the opposite, right? Same thing. You want $10,000 a month, change it to $100,000 a month. Now that's worth working for, because it's going to suck either ways. Okay? And guess what? You're more likely to succeed when you 10x this stuff. Okay? So I dropped the link if you wish to come in Chaos Reign to add something. All right? Otherwise, we are definitely wrapping this up. Let me see what is going on over here in the chat. Excellent way of explaining it, says L. Boyd. L. Boyd, L. Boyd. And Felicia says, money is ridiculous. Stupid rich or stupid broke. It's your choice. Yes, yes, yes. Because all these broke people, and we all know about our money happiness fallacy, right? We know that's our pet peeve over here. Don't bring up happiness when someone's talking about money. Don't bring up happiness when someone's talking about this kind of stuff, okay, about success. Does failure make you happy? Okay? No. Money is a tool. Don't tell me about happiness when I'm talking about knives and forks and shovels. It is tremendously stupid. I have a low tolerance for stupid, as we all do around here, don't we? Right? So bringing up happiness is a total non sequitur. It's like me telling you, hey, we need this tire iron. And you say, you know what? Tire irons don't make you happy. Dude, what's wrong with you? You're exposing yourself. You have a deep fear of something. You have deep insecurities. You got emotional problems. I'm talking about tire irons and you're talking about happiness. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's another one of those things that is out there by the herd people using to control your, give up your shovels. The shovels will not make you happy. Don't desire shovels. Stay within over here in this class. Don't look at what's going on over here. It's okay. You are happy. You are happy. Nah, doesn't work that way, okay? Doesn't work that way. It's bullshit. There's no logic to it. It's nonsense. To hell with that crap, okay? Now, let's vote. Let us vote. How are we going to take ourselves out? How are we going to take ourselves out? 1, for Battle Within. All right? L. Boyd, start voting. 2, okay? 2 for Run. 1 for Battle Within, 2 for Run. If you want another song, you can press 3 and push 3 for another song, and we can take ourselves out that way. Well, thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been fun, okay? This is a very easy book. Go ahead and get it on Amazon audiobook, for example, the Audible app. It's an easy read. It's like 7 hours, okay? Or you can put it at 2 times the speed. Boom, get rid of it in 3.5 hours. But the book is very much right in line with the concepts and the things that we talk about here. Take action, 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 action. Forget about the herd and people telling you what to do, the goals to have and all that crap. Dude, like, come on, man. You got one life to live. What is this nonsense? Who are these people telling you that, only the human beings get to solve human problems? Moses was a human being, but, you're just a pig. Gandhi or whomever your hero is, those were human beings, but you're just a pig, right? You're a pig. Come on. Don't try to think you can do the things those other human beings did. What do you think? You are a human being? Right? It seems like Battle Within has it. But since we're in a good mood today, and since we had niggas and niggas' mom show up to keep things light and jovial over here in the land of philosophers and artists, we are going to go ahead and we are going to the land of philosophers and artists where the host is an engineer. Isn't that great? Peace out.
visions in our hearts, shed waters in our balls. The spirit and the flesh, the emotions that arrest. The cerebral will contest, propelling the unrest. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded. The teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, the world to you. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, the world to you. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. With the semblance of a blaze, with gratitude and rage, we touch another page with delirious delight, impervious to light. This vitality and might encourages the flight. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, the world to you. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Guess I can give the world to you, the world to you. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. The world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, the world to you. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain. The face of evil smirking with their shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners. Run, 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 make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we can't forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we can't forget it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated, Lord. Run, come, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. Run for the hills, let the will lead the mind. For living is the thrill with the doubt left behind. Amidst all the wicked, there is beauty to behold. We are fearless and intrepid from the depths of our soul. The hands of the steady cleave the rose from the corn. The sweat of the weary brings us close to the dawn. The motion of the wheel brings the light to the mind. Be aligned, it's divine. Run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling on your daughters and your sons, they come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated, Lord. Run, come, come, make we get it. Calling on your daughters and your sons, they come forget it. Run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. Run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated, Lord. Run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters